All right, welcome to my show, Daily Dose of Dion, right? I guess for now, anyway, till we come up with a better name. I appreciate all of you stopping in to visit. For those of you who are not watching it, I am wearing a T-shirt for once. It's my guy Brandon Hart. He is a musician and quite a good one. During the broadcast today, I'm going to share my favorite song that he does is called Dad Bod. It actually lines up really well with what's going on right now. We're all kind of just stuck, right? The ones of us who are following the orders and staying inside, uh, starting to pack on some pounds, unfortunately. Doing the best I can to stay active and get exercise with the kids. We got a bag in the basement. I got to get down there and start hitting that a little bit. But unfortunately, the snack time seems to be about the only thing that's consistent with everything. We get, unfortunately, not a lot of exercise right now. We're not able to, especially with all the stuff that's being shut down, and that's a whole other issue. But we spend a lot of time hanging around the house, right? Sitting around, not 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 doing much. So at least for me, I had shed when I worked at Indiana State Prison. I was big. I was huge. I've lost over 100 pounds since then, and the last thing I want is to start gaining all this back. But unfortunately, it is what it is. So I'm going to share with you a video that Brandon did, and I hope you'll like it as much as I do. Let's see if I can get this up. There we go. I'm going to switch to it so I can play it for you guys, and hopefully you'll appreciate it as much as I do. Here we go. And don't worry, I'll drop the link in there for you guys. Okay. Hey, Chris, thanks for joining me. Hold on, let me get this back to, here we go. I just wanted to play that song. I'm going to drop the link in here for you guys. There you go. You can watch it again if you like. I just thought it was a good reference for right now. We have everything, shut down. We're not able to get out and exercise. Me, myself, snack time seems to be the only thing that's consistent. So trying to get back in shape, right? It's a good, cute, fun little song by Brandon Hart that I really like, and I think it's funny. So now that that's out of the way, I have some interesting articles that I dropped. But before we get to that, I just want to say Facebook is on full on censorship overdrive right now. That's right. Christopher Wells said, "Hey, round is a shape too." That's absolutely right. And for all the big guys out there, we have a theme song now, right? It's called Dad Bod. But so Facebook, right? I shared the USA Today article that was talking about HR 5717 on my Facebook page. And what it is that, oh, excuse me, pardon me. The article is actually a fact check about HR 5717 and whether it actually bans assault rifles, so-called assault weapons, right? That's a whole other story. We know. You should know by now how I feel about that term and how ridiculous it is. But that aside, I shared the USA Today article, right? How it talks about, yes, actually it does ban assault weapons. It actually lumps just about every single shot rifle with a pistol grip into that category and then bans them all. They're the only thing they had as a criticism, because it popped up a little fact checker thing that was like, oh yeah, it's not entirely true. It doesn't ban current weapons, right? Only weapons that are bought after this. So it is a ban, but current weapons are grandfathered in. That's the only thing. And I never claimed that it banned everything going back to the beginning of time. What it's trying to do is institute a ban that will take effect from that day forward. But it kills me with Facebook and how they just assume that you're trying to spread misinformation, right, or disinformation, and it's really, really frustrating for me because I like to believe that I only share factual articles. So we're going to talk about this vote by mail thing. I have some articles that I think really bring some much needed perspective to it. This first one is from Breitbart. And basically, I don't know if that link's going to, is that link going to work? Yeah, hold on. Let me get a different, link. I'm going to, yeah, I don't know if that's going to work. Hold on. Let me pop this up and hopefully I can get a better, there we go. Sorry about that. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that link. I'm going to give you a better one. So basically, there we go. What it is, I'm gonna share my screen so you guys don't have to. No, wrong one. Here, as a matter of fact, let me close that. I always forget on this particular setup. It always wants Chrome for some reason. It doesn't like to work with Firefox with StreamYard, which is what I used in order to do this. So let me get this set up for you here real quick. Oh, did the first article work for you, Paul? Okay. Or the first link, I mean. I appreciate that. Let's see if it'll pop up over. Yep. Good deal. So here's what we have, right? GOP gears up for next relief fight. Democrats, quote, want the federal government to take over elections. So the GOP is gearing up for what could be a contentious battle over the next stage of coronavirus relief as Democrats continue to signal their desire to pursue a variety of changes related to the U.S. election. Republicans and Democrats are expected to begin the process of crafting the next stage of economic relief after successfully passing a bipartisan measure to provide relief to small businesses and individuals affected by the coronavirus pandemic last month. The measure ultimately passed unanimously in the Senate, but it did initially not go without opposition, as House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, D. California, attempted to offer her own version of relief filled with a variety of liberal wish list items, including major changes to voting methods. While the Speaker has signaled support for a bipartisan measure in the same mold as the last, she hinted last week that she is still going to pursue changes to voting methods. This is a quote: "Vote by mail is essential to protecting the future of our democracy as we confront this public health crisis. There is no legitimate argument against enacting it," Pelosi said last week. Now, I want you to think about that for a minute. Outside the article, there is no legitimate reason, right? So in her mind, there's nothing you could possibly say against vote by mail that makes any sense. To continue, the GOP and Trump administration are gearing up for battle, condemning the left for attempting to use the coronavirus pandemic to push their greater political agendas related to voting methods in U.S. elections. Senator Amy Klobuchar is leading the Democrat effort, pushing a bill to provide vote by mail and expand early voting. She claims Democrats are getting, quote, more and more bipartisan support from secretaries of states across the country, according to Politico. Quote, "In a worst case scenario, committees may be facing the choice of either voting by mail or not voting at all," Senator Ron Wyden, D. Oregon, who is spearheading the effort alongside Klobuchar, said. "We are already going in this direction, and now we're in the middle of a pandemic, and I think this is a very different time," he added. The Phase 3 bill provided $400 million for election security grants, quote, "which can be used broadly, including to expand vote-by-mail options and early voting, as well as to clean polling facilities and conduct public education campaigns," as Politico reported. Democrats, however, believe they need more. Citing the move by some Republicans to delay primaries amid coronavirus concerns, Klobuchar said that she is, quote, "looking at that next package to get funding included, as well as some additional reforms, like removing state requirements that voters present an excuse to vote absentee." That's premature. Around the world, we've had people in new democracies go to vote when their lives were at risk because the right to vote was so precious, Senator Lamar Alexander, R. Tennessee, said, according to Politico. "Most Americans would be very skeptical of significant changes in our ability to go cast a ballot in person, certainly at this point. States should run states' elections," Senator Cory Gardner, R. Colorado, stated. "Washington, D.C. should not run the state's elections. So if a state determines that's the way it wants to go, a state should make that decision." Senator John Cornyn, R. Texas, took it a step further, stating bluntly that Democrats, quote, "want the federal government to take over elections." "Our Democratic friends want the federal government to take over elections, but historically those have been handled at the state level," Cornyn said, according to Politico. "If voters, quote, can go to the grocery store, they can go to the polls," he added. President Trump has also cast doubt on the idea of mail-in voting. "I think a lot of people cheat with mail-in voting," Trump said last week. "I think people should vote with ID, with voter ID." Several Democrats, including, yes, Hillary Clinton and her former campaign attorney, Mark Elias, however, are continuing to use the pandemic to push major voter changes. Those include mail-in voting, curbside voting, and ballot harvesting. There are some quotes for some tweets from these raging morons. And to summarize, nonetheless, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has warned Democrats, Pelosi particularly, against, quote, "taking advantage of the crisis to do things that are unrelated to the crisis." So, yeah. Look, guys, the sad fact of the matter is this is a push by people who know they don't stand a chance. I'm just going to lay it out there.
Biden is mentally deficient. He's either having some serious mental issues or he's faking really, really well. There's debate over that. But what I can tell you is I'm going to go in person to vote. If I have to stand in line, that's okay. If I have to stand 6 feet from the next person in front of me, that's okay. Because the fundamental fact is that our right to vote is one of the only things we have left in this constitutional republic. It is insane that, look, counties, states have been caught. Judicial Watch has sued successfully, I might add, for these states that are not pulling people off the voter rolls that should be. We see voter fraud happening on an unprecedented scale. Vote by mail is just another way to make sure that the person they want elected gets elected. There's this quote going around, right, that Trump said, more people voting means Republicans do poorly. Again, this is a misquote of what Trump said. It's mind-blowing how this keeps happening. And I think very, very obvious. It's obvious the way they misquote him. I'm not his cheerleader or anything, but I'm tired of seeing the double standards between the previous administration and the press coverage of that administration versus now. I have never in my life seen a person under attack from day one by foreign leaders, Hollywood, the celebrities, the mainstream media, the way our president has. It is mind-blowing. Go back up here and get these comments here. The no porkism bill, you mean? Chris said, yeah, absolutely. I mean, buy porkism bill. Yeah, that's what it's all about. It's about padding as much pork into these bills as possible. If our and don't get me wrong, we have a few that are absolutely doing their job. They're standing up for what they believe in. Massey is one of them. He is taking extreme heat for just wanting accountability. It takes guts to stand up and demand accountability when you have essentially the entire nation looking at you and saying, "Hey, what are you doing? You're anti-American. You're this. You're that." It's insane when all he wanted to do was say, "Hey, we need to know who's going to vote for this and who's not. We need to show some degree of accountability so that we can make the decisions about these people in the future." Yeah, Paul, that's the thing. Many Indiana counties do different ways. That's another thing. Not just states, but the counties. Many counties change things in different ways. Lake County does it different than LaPorte County. Porter County does it differently than another county. It's really weird. I will tell you that I spoke to someone at the voter office in LaPorte County at length about mail-in voting and the way that they safeguard against fraud. I feel a lot better about LaPorte County's mail voting. Not everywhere is as stringent, though. Chris says take over elections because it's in the Constitution. Right. We do not want the federal government taking over anything more than what they already have. Paul says that's the only way I'm voting, in person. That's right. And I'm going to show my identification because I believe that voter ID is something that is far overdue for being instituted. We need voter ID in this country. We have to require it from every single place. Chris says, my mom died on December 29th, 2014, and she was still on the voter roll in November 2019. Right, exactly. Paul said, is she registered as a D? Chris says, the only thing you could be in Hobart back then. Right. it boggles the mind. There are many, many, many locations across the United States that are not purging their voter rolls the way they should be, that are not making sure that people who should not be voting are not voting. We've seen multiple instances of people who are here illegally voting. We've seen instances of people that are dead that are voting. If you don't think voter fraud is happening, look up Judicial Watch voter fraud. And the proof is there. The proof is there. I've had people argue with me, oh, it's only 9,000 or it's only 900 or it's only 900,000. Add it all up. It all adds up, and just think, these are the ones that they've been able to discover. These are the ones that they found. What about all the ones that weren't found? What about all the things that are happening that are not being discovered? That's my issue. Look, I understand. Oh, that leads into the next thing. Hold on. I'm sure you've seen this by now, but all deaths, right, are now being urged to be classified as coronavirus deaths. Now, I don't know about you, but this really makes me wonder, right? So hold on, I'm going to bring this up in another window here because you need to see this. If you haven't had a chance to see this yet, I think you should. It is Minnesota Senator and Dr. Scott Jensen. Let me share this screen here. Hold on, let me pause this. This is insane. It really is. That's the only way I can describe it. Because oh yeah, hold on. Real quick, Paul said, "How could anyone think it's not happening?" Yeah. There's so much proof out there that only the willfully ignorant believe that voter fraud isn't happening. Chris said, "You said people here illegally. Isn't that officially hate speech now?" Right. And you know what? I'm sure at some point during this run, assuming I make it past the primary and I'm the Republican nominee, somebody's going to pick apart my video. They're going to grab little stuff, including that, and they're going to say, look, he's, blah, 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 blah. Whatever. You can say whatever you want about me. You can run any hit pieces you want. The bottom line is, I represent the people that are tired of political correctness. I represent the people that are tired of being told what they can and can't say. The fact that someone is here illegally, there's no arguing that. Changing the words for it doesn't change what's going on. It doesn't change that laws are being broken. Let me share this screen here. I'm gonna put it on full screen so you guys can see. This again is Minnesota Senator and Dr. Scott Jensen said that he received a 7-page document from Minnesota Health to fill out death certificates with a diagnosis of COVID-19, whether the person actually died from COVID-19 or not. Why is Minnesota inflating COVID-19 death numbers? I'm going to play this for you. It's only a couple of minutes. I think everyone should see this. Oh, hold on, I'm being told it doesn't have any sound. Hold on, let me try to fix that for you guys. Sorry about that, guys. Let me, Did the video that I was playing had sound though before? The dad bod video, you guys heard that one, right? Thanks for texting me, Paul. I appreciate that. I'm being told there's no sound on it. Let me see what I can do. Maybe I can put it. Let's try that and see if you guys can hear it. Does it have sound now? Okay. All right. Here's what I'll do. I don't know why. I don't know why I'm having an issue with the sound on this one. Interesting. All right. I'm going to have to look into why that is happening. I'm going to drop the link for this into here, and you guys definitely check it out. Let me copy this, and I'll drop it into the link. I wonder. Here's what he's saying. I'm going to look into why sound isn't working on that, but I'll try to fix that by next video. He's saying that he was presented with a 7-page document, right, from the Department of Health that told him basically to fill out all the death certificates if they're like had any contact with anyone with COVID-19, despite what they actually died from. Basically, it's irrelevant what they actually died from. They want the death certificates filled out for COVID-19. Now that begs the question, why, right? Why? My only point on that I think is critically important is unless we are being presented with data that's accurate, right, then how can the leaders, right, our governors, our city officials, our mayors, like Michigan City, who instituted a curfew of all things, how can our elected officials and the leaders that are supposed to be making informed decisions for all of us, how can they do so? How can they make informed decisions when they have bad data? Now, there's a couple of theories as to why this is happening, right? Paul asks, who's benefiting? That's really what you always have to ask. Who benefits from this? Who benefits from inflated death numbers? And that's really what it's about. It's about getting the maximum number. Now, we've already been told. Now, I want you to really, really stop and think, right? We're being told that the numbers are less than the projections, okay? Even with inflated numbers. Really stop and think about that. Even with all of these numbers, right? All of these people being classified as COVID-19 casualties, the numbers are still significantly less than projections. Now, that makes me wonder who benefits from inflated death numbers. Well, I would say one aspect of that is pushing various agendas. One agenda is the vote by mail. If we can drum up enough fear, then we can have what we want, which is vote by mail. We can have a system that is easily manipulated, right there for fraud, right? We have, what is going on here with my volume? Hold on. Okay, hold on. Let me try this. Let me try to get rid of this. I'm wondering if this might be having an issue with it. Is that working? Do you guys have volume again, Chris? Let me try to remove that. Let's try to do that. Is volume working any better now? I don't know what is going on with my stream today. I wonder if something going on with the internet. Hmm. All right, so testing, 1, 2. Okay, so Chris said he had to restart the feed. I wonder what's going on with my audio. Interesting. I appreciate you letting me know. Thank you. So I'm gonna have to run through the video and watch it again and see what's going on and try to isolate the issue, try to fix it. I definitely don't want to have these problems. So who benefits from this? Who benefits from us living in fear? Now, for one thing, all these people that are calling for the federal government to increase the lockdown, and look, another thing that I want everyone to realize is we have things that are supposed to be scheduled for June and July that are getting canceled. Now, a couple of things about that, a couple of disclaimers. Anytime you have a big event, there are massive penalties if you have to cancel, right, for the people, unless you do so well in advance. Now, like Pierogi Fest was canceled, 4th of July parade's canceled. All this stuff is getting canceled. Now, what does that tell you about the anticipation? Do you really honestly think that within 2 weeks, all this is going to be over and we can just go right back to the way we were? We can go right back to doing what we were doing? No. If the people in charge, right, the ones who have the allegedly insider information are canceling things that are months out, what does that tell you about their plans? What does that tell you about their anticipated ending of this? It tells me that they don't think this is going to be over by the end of August, or excuse me, April. August, yeah. They don't think this is going to be over. They think that this is going to continue much, much longer. And again, this is very, very disturbing to me. We have constitutional freedoms that are being trampled on, constitutionally protected freedoms, the right to assemble, religion. All of these things are being affected. They're being crushed. And we have, mayors that are giddy about this. Makes me sick. As a Constitution-loving American, it makes me sick. Chris says, hey, I like teaching from home. And I'm sure you do. Look, man, for what it's worth, I think actually closing the schools was a good idea. I'd love to see more parents get involved with their children's education right now. Oh, that was interesting. Did you see that split-second blackout? I wonder if we're having power issues too now. I like having the opportunity to spend more time with my kids. That's the next topic, actually. Are you guys on Xbox, right? They have a program called Games Pass. And there's like Ultimate Games Pass and Games for Gold and all that. Your gold is all the games that they give you, like 3 games a month for free. Games Pass, you have this massive library of like 100 games that you can download for free and play. So the boys and I were looking through the Games Pass games last night, and we downloaded Tekken 7. That's a little dated. It's a couple years old, but it's free. I use the term free loosely. You have to actually pay for the subscription, but it's like, I want to say it's like $14 a month for. It comes with Xbox Live Gold, which you need to play online or multiplayer anyway. You get your Xbox Gold games, and then you get this massive games library. So we downloaded Tekken 7 and we're playing. And my oldest son, Orion, he's 17. He picked it up like that, right? And he's like, oh yeah, I'm just button mashing. And he slaughtered me, man. I'm not gonna lie, it's embarrassing. He had like an 8-win streak on me, and but for what it's worth, the game itself is really fun. It's easy to pick up. You can turn on like easy combos where you hold left bumper and then you do either X, Y, B, or A, right? Left bumper and then hit Y, and it'll do this like combo. It's perfect for kids. Older, younger, and people like me who used to be good at games, who think I'm still good at games, but get slaughtered by their teen children. Uh, my middle child, he he just likes to sit and watch and make fun of me when I lose. He gets vast entertainment out of that. He would much rather do that than actually play. So it's something interesting that we're doing. A little bit of father son bonding time, like Apple Arcade. Paul says, yeah, there's all kinds of games. There's some actually really awesome games like Witcher 3 role playing game deep into. I don't have the time for video games like I used to. I used to be able to spend 100 200 hours on a game over the course of uh, a couple of months. I don't have that kind of time anymore with the campaign and trying to get the word out. I do the stream every night, but uh, they have everything from they got the Fallout, like I think they got Fallout 3, Fallout 4, New Vegas is on there. Depending on what you like, and I'm a huge Fallout fan, so I'm just gonna put that out there. My little smartwatch has a Fallout. I forgot to wear it today. I'll show it to you next live stream tomorrow, or not tomorrow because I got the guest on, but Saturday, right, or Friday. Yeah, what's today? Wednesday. I'm losing track of days, man. All this, sitting inside. Uh, yeah, I'll do it Friday. Remind me, hopefully, and I'll show you my Fallout watch theme. It's actually pretty cool. The battery life is your hit points, right? I don't know if you guys know Fallout, but hey, guys and girls, it's not a sexist thing. It's just the way I talk. But uh, so there's all kinds of cool things that are positive about the kids being home from school. In my opinion, you get a chance to spend more time with them. You get a chance to talk to them more in depth about what's going on with them, about what's going on with you. But I worry with these things that are happening, right? The things that are happening across the U.S., where we have people that are calling, that are begging the government to take away freedoms. I want you to really understand that. If you guys, I don't know if you can see, yeah, tilt it towards the light a little bit. Trying to get some light on it. I don't know if you can see. It's 1984. It's really dark in the center of the eye there, but George Orwell's 1984. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. It used to be required reading when I was a kid. It's not anymore, as far as I know. The schools seem to be of the opinion that they don't want the children thinking for themselves. Not all schools, and not all teachers. I believe that Mr. Wells is one of those teachers that wants the kids to think for themselves, that wants the kids to realize that there's more going on than we are being told. I think it's a grave disservice to everyone to lump everyone together. Just like I don't want people assuming that because I'm a Republican, I believe in big business getting away with taxes, which I don't know how that even became a talking point. But there are those people who believe that, if you're a Republican, then you believe that Amazon should pay zero federal taxes. That's one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard. Paul says they don't even read Mockingbird. Yes, there are. We used to have books that were a requirement, that were really important, I believe, in educational development and teaching people how to think for themselves and how to make determinations. Animal Farm, exceptional book, again, by George Orwell. And it really speaks to herd mentality and how even the most well-intentioned person can really be twisted. Look at Stanley Milgram's experiment that he did in, I think it was the 60s. I don't remember the exact year, but where he had people that they had to hit the button to shock the person. It wasn't actually happening, but they thought it was. And it was fascinating how many people chose to continue the experiment. It's frightening. It's frightening. Why? Because it comes from authority, and it comes down. It's a direct parallel right now, in my opinion, that we have people that are begging for more authoritarian measures on us. We have people that are begging for various governments to institute greater and greater pushes against our rights, more and more restrictions. There was a mainstream media article, I think it was on MSN actually, that talked about how Walmarts and other places are not being allowed to sell essential goods or non-essential goods, right? And the picture went around earlier. Vermont is one of them, and Walmart actually blocked off the seeds. And I'm not talking about the flowers. I'm talking about the food, the seeds. They blocked off and consider it non-essential. Now I want you to really, really think about that for a minute. When the government and through various businesses, right? The government says no non-essentials will be sold. The business goes, okay, we'll do that. And then they start dictating what is essential for you and for me. They tell you what's essential. They tell you what you're allowed to have. If you can't see the parallels to communism, if you can't see the parallels to massive government control, then it's really scary. Let's see here. Chris says, I just teach math. Okay, fair enough. At least you're teaching real math though, right? Not that Common Core garbage. Paul says, fantastic book and excellent life story. Yes. And taxation is theft. Yes, it is. So there's a lot of rumors flying around now about a currency reset and getting rid of the Fed. Let me just put this out there. I am wholeheartedly opposed to central banks. This is probably going to get me on the convenient suicide list. I am not suicidal. Just putting that out there. Just remember hashtag Dion Bergeron did not kill himself. But the whole thing is the central bank rules us via debt, right? It's a ridiculous system. If you look into it and learn about it, this country was sold out. Chris says, bulls on parade. Paul says, some individual, Walmart starts completely blocking any firearm purchases whatsoever. And that's another thing. Across the states, we've seen governors and various leaders that have said they suspended background checks, right? They have suspended the ability to even sell firearms because unless you can do that, that check, they can't do that, right? You can't sell it without it or without that check being approved. That's another thing that frustrates me about this whole, universal background check argument. When you go buy a weapon from a licensed firearm dealer, which is the vast majority of the weapons purchases, there's very few personal sales. If you go through a licensed firearm dealer, you have to have a background check. You have to have an FBI background check. And I'm going to look, I wrote an article about it on another live stream. I'll tell you about my personal experiences with purchasing my weapons, because every single time I go to buy a firearm, it's a wait, it's a hold. Not because I'm a career criminal or because I have a felony, because I don't. I passed multiple FBI background checks. I worked at the Indiana State Prison. I had to pass multiple background checks for that. I got my concealed carry license, LTCH, license to carry a handgun, whatever you want to call it in Indiana. I passed all that. But if I share a name with someone in Louisiana that was convicted of murder. So regardless of the fact that my social security number is different, I always get a hold. It's so irritating. But that's the system that we have. What we need are more people in order to process those. But some states across the country are putting the brakes on the process. They're trying to overstep their bounds and outlaw the sale of firearms. There are some stores like Paul said, that completely block the firearm purchases completely. And if you're not able to get the check done, then you can't buy it. That's just the way it is. Yeah. So yeah, I don't have any evidence against Hillary Clinton. Just putting that out there. Look, man, we know anyone of any rational mind can look into, Paul said, in my own home state too. It is. And look, for those people out there who are like, oh, your name's really unique. In the state that I'm from, all right, that I was born in, I consider myself from Michigan City now, but the state that I was born in is Louisiana. And the name down there, Bergeron, is like Smith or Jones up here. There are 13 pages, I believe, of Bergeron in the phone book from the city that I was born in, Houma, Houma. It's south of New Orleans, about 60 miles. And there are just dozens and dozens and dozens of Bergerons. We're not all related. It's one of those names down there. It's like Boudreaux or Thibodeau. It's a very, very common name, last name. And so, yeah, there's a guy that just happens to share my first name, last name, and middle initial. I'm not sure of his middle name, but same middle initial. And yeah, he's been in a lot of trouble. So it's so irritating. I already know when I'm going to go to buy a new gun, I already know that I'm going to have to wait. I've been told about various steps that I can go through with like doing a fingerprint card with them and stuff like that. I'll probably eventually do that. At some point, I just haven't gotten to it. I don't have enough money that I can just go buy guns every time I turn around. So maybe if I get rich or get, especially if I get elected, that's enough of a salary that I could definitely increase my gun collection significantly. And you're more than welcome to join me on the range to try them out. It's just nuts. But we have all of these infringements on our rights that are going on, and there's no sense of it. There's no realistic reason for it. Not that there's a reason to infringe on our rights ever, but I do want to be very clear. If we had a sufficient number without the padding, without these other deaths being qualified as COVID-19 deaths, if we had enough, right, that we could look at it and go, wow, that's terrifying, right? Then, not that it's okay to take rights away, but it would be a little firmer ground to stand on, right? Now, if they have to inflate the deaths like this, and it's still not reaching the projections by a significant amount, what does that tell you? You have to look, excuse me. You have to look at who gains from that. You have to look at who the recipient of this is. And of course, it goes to the government. The government is the recipient of the benefits here. They're telling us what you can and can't do. Our economy has been devastated, absolutely devastated. And what's the result? What's the good news on that? So for those of you who didn't get a chance to see the beginning, I'm going to show you my shirt. It's Brandon Hart. That's the guy that I played the video from in the beginning. And I'm really frustrated that the audio didn't work. I'm going to have to look into that and seeing why that didn't come through, because I would think that it would at least come through the mic because it's playing, but man, very, very annoying. It's a good video. You should go watch it. Brandon Hart, Dad Bod. So I've been to a few of his concerts. Him and Tom McDonald are actually the only concerts I've ever actually gone to. I thought it was worth it. Both of them have really good messages in their music. I enjoy it. If you guys are bored, looking for something interesting to look into, there you go. So I'm gonna wrap this up tomorrow. Special event. Don't forget, I am having Mike Cargile on my show. He is going to come and talk to us from California, District 35 out there. He's also running. And I think it'll be a good time. You can see kind of the differences between Indiana and California right now as to what's going on. Yeah, Paul says, that's why I was super confused. Yeah, I'm really annoyed, but yes, I have seen it. I've seen a couple of Jordan Page's things. I'm going to look them up. Paul says, look up Jordan Page. Yeah, that's another one I recommend. If I can figure out how the audio works, I'm going to start dropping some music in here just to make it a little more interesting. But I got to get the audio working first. Maybe I'll play it from my phone or something and see if it can go through. I know there's a way to do it. I don't know why it's not working. Very, very frustrating. So tomorrow night, don't forget. And listen, I got to start putting a little thing at the end of my videos. For those of you who aren't sure how to help my campaign, go to DionBergeron.com. Donate if you can. I know it's really, really hard right now. I know if you are laid off, if you are broke, don't send me money. I don't want anyone sending me money they don't have. I really want to stress that. There are politicians out there that are like, yes, give me money, give me money, give me money. And look, my campaign needs money just as much as any others, right? That's just the way it is. But if you can't afford it, don't do it. If you can, hey, much appreciated. If you don't have the money though, and you still want to help, share my stuff, let people know. 7 p.m. every night I do the live stream, and I'm looking for guests, right, to have on. I'm looking for people that are going to join me and give different perspectives, because let's face it, as awesome as I am, people get tired of hearing only me. So let's mix it up a little. Let's get some more guests. I think it's going to be a blast. Again, follow me on social media if you don't already at Dion for Congress. My YouTube channel is just Dion for Congress, and DionBergeron.com. So and real quick before I go, there's a thing going around where every night at 9 p.m. Central Time, we all take a couple of minutes out and we pray for this country. That's something that I support. 9 p.m. Central, just take a couple of minutes, and the power of prayer, the power of whether you believe in prayer or not. Some people don't, but the ones that don't believe in prayer believe in positive thinking, right? So even if you aren't the praying type, put positive thoughts out there. There's actually a lot of evidence that shows that a large group of people with a positive outlook, a positive message, positive thought processes, putting out that energy has done wonders for crime rates and terror and all kinds of stuff. 9 p.m., take a couple of minutes and just send out positive thoughts. Pray to God, pray to Jesus, whatever you do, put those positive thoughts and influences out there, and support your local businesses. It was a blast. I had a good time, like always. Thanks for joining me. I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow night, and make sure you tune in because it's going to be awesome. So God bless you, and God bless the USA.